Hey y'all, welcome to Better Than Good Barbecue. Today I'm going to be making some St. Louis style pork spare ribs that I got from Kroger. And I'm going to be making them on the Weber kettle, doing the 3-2-1 method. That's 3 hours unwrapped, 2 hours wrapped up in foil, and 1 hour after that unwrapped to let that bark form. I'm going to be using a barbecue rub that I made that's got some sriracha powder, some brown sugar in there so it gives you that sweet heat. And I'm also going to be using this Carolina vinegar style barbecue sauce from Heinz that I got on Amazon for about $13 for a 6-pack. So I'll go ahead and throw a link in the description for this so you can check it out for yourself. But basically, be running on the Weber kettle. I have a slow and sear setup. Well, I say that, but it's actually the charcoal Weber baskets, and I modified them to operate like a slow and sear for about 20 bucks versus the $100 for the slow and sear. So we'll see how that does. And once it's time for me to get the charcoals going, I'll take you on over there, show you that setup, and then we'll come back and trim these up and get them ready to go on the grill. We have the, here, let me get this out of the way so you can see, but we have this basket right here that's holding all the charcoal to one side of the grill. And basically, what I have is unlit charcoal, a couple pieces of wood, and a little space right here without any charcoal. I'm gonna put the lit charcoal right here. As the lit charcoal comes in contact with all the unlit, then it'll take off this way in what's called the minion method. And that's gonna allow these charcoals to catch in a flow and keep that low and slow heat going over the ribs for a good 5-6 hours. I have this water pan in here. I don't have any water in it yet, but I'll be putting water in here, and as the heat hits the water pan, it's gonna create some steam and moisture and keep these ribs nice and moist. I'll be putting some water and some apple cider vinegar in there when it comes time. So let me get these charcoals lit. Oh, let me show you the trick to lighting that small amount of charcoal. Basically, this is a charcoal basket, a charcoal chimney flipped upside down with just a couple briquettes right there. So I'll be putting some paper down here in the bottom and lighting them, and that'll just catch this little bit, and that's what'll go in the corner right here. So let me get that going and we'll come back. All right, I'm gonna show you how I trim these ribs up. Pretty simple. What I like to do is actually just check them for any loose bits, anything that's just gonna burn when you get it on the smoker, just kind of get rid of it. The next thing I do is there's a membrane on the back of these ribs right here on this white part. If you look real close, you can see that membrane right there. And what you got to do is you have to separate it from the bone and then peel it away. All right, got some yellow mustard here. I like to start on the back side of the rib, just because when you flip it over, you want to keep that top side looking good for the initial part of the grilling. So basically what you do is just get you a little bit of mustard on there. It doesn't take a whole lot. You're just looking for a binder for something to stick. Now, always remember, keep a dirty hand and a clean hand when you're doing it. Now that we've got those good and coated, basically what I'm gonna do is let these hang out, and that sugar and all the seasonings are gonna start to sweat and stick to the meat, and that's really gonna penetrate it and give it a good flavor. So these are gonna hang out for just a little bit while I get the coals hot and get the Weber up and running. And we're looking for an internal temperature on the Weber of about 250 degrees, and then we'll throw these on and we'll get to cooking. Now we got the coals good and hot. they're starting to turn white up on the top there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put them right here in that space that doesn't have any charcoal in there, so that they can start catching this away. And then we'll let the smoker or the kettle come up to temp, and then we'll be ready to get the ribs put on there. Get my water pan set up now. Oops. Got one guy hanging out. Hold on. One of them snuck away here. There we go. All right. Get the water pan set in there. I got some water and apple cider vinegar going in. And that apple cider vinegar, what it does, when that steams, that'll also help tenderize the meat a little bit, release it from the bone, and just help with the cooking process. It doesn't really add any flavor. It's more so just for releasing it from the bone and everything. Let me go ahead and grab the grate. I got this part that flips down or flips up right here. I'm gonna position that over the coals in case I need to add more coals or wood or anything like that later on. But that's going to be the setup. The ribs are going to go right here once this thing comes up to temp, and we'll come right back. All right, y'all, it's been about 10-15 minutes of the smoker coming up to temperature. And if you'll notice, I have the thermometer over here, but that's directly over the coals. And the vent, the top vent, is on the opposite side of the coals. And this is where the meat's going to be. The reason for that is you want that smoke to come up and travel all around the chamber, the cooking chamber, coat the meat and go right over the meat and then out the holes. If I had it the other way and I had the thermometer where the vent is, well, that smoke would just come right off the coals and just right out the vent over here, and it would never really get all the way around the ribs. So that's the reason behind that. And I'm just going to take this instant read thermometer and kind of hang it down in there and kind of see what temperature the smoke chamber is at where the ribs are. I'm going to go ahead and get the ribs on now. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, smoking up nice. We're just gonna go right like that. For the first portion of the cook, I'm going bone side down on these ribs. And we're gonna let it roll like that for about 2 hours. Then I'll come out and check on them. After about 2 hours, I'll come out and see how they're doing. They should have a nice bark forming on there. Sometimes with the 3-2-1 method, it's closer to 2 hours when you need to go ahead and wrap them in foil, or they could be 2.5. It just depends. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is leave this top vent about halfway cracked, and I have the bottom vents down there about 1/3 of the way open. Go ahead and take a look at what the ribs are looking like now after being on for about 3 hours and 20 minutes. They're really looking good. You can see that bark formed up nicely. It's not sticking to my finger when I touch it. They look like they're set and they're ready to go ahead and be wrapped in foil. So basically what I'm going to do is go ahead and take them off, and I'll bring you guys around and show you how I wrap them and what I do with the sauce and everything. All right, y'all, we're about to take the ribs off of the kettle. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is take the barbecue sauce that we're using today, and I'm going to put it right down on the foil before we take the ribs off. And what this is going to do is I'm going to put these ribs on meat side down directly on this sauce. That's going to coat them, and also the vinegar in here is going to get that meat off the bone, and they're going to fall off the bone. They're going to come off really easy. They'll still have some bite to them, but this sauce just makes it super simple, and that's what I like to use. So I'm going to go ahead and grab them real quick. I mean, look at the color on that. That's when you know they're ready. It's got a nice bark that's forming. They're not falling apart when I pick them up, but at the same time, that rub is not coming off when I'm touching them. that's when they're ready to be wrapped in foil. You're not gonna lose that bark. You're gonna maintain all that flavor, and it's just gonna be great. So like I said, I'm going meat side down, right on top of that sauce. Simple as that. And then all you gotta do is just wrap them up. You wanna make sure that you got them nice and tight. You don't want any of that moisture escaping. You want a nice seal on there, but that's all you got to do right there. You don't have to get much more complicated than that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is throw these back on the grill, meat side down this time. I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other rack, and then we'll be right back. So it's been about an hour and a half of the ribs being on, covered in foil. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how they're coming along. All right. So you see all that juice, and that's just all coming from the rib itself and mixing in with that sauce that we put in there. The membrane has pulled back off the bones, and you can see the bones are starting to expose. This tells me that this rib right here, this rack of ribs, is ready to come off. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and remove it from the foil, just discard all that, put it back on the grill, and I'm gonna rub some sauce on there. And then just let that sauce firm up for the last 45 minutes or so. All right, y'all, we got them back on the grill. I'm gonna go ahead and use this sauce from Trader Joe's. It's a sriracha and roasted garlic barbecue sauce. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna put on there. My buddy uses this on everything. He kind of turned me on to it, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw them on there. And what you wanna do is just directly on top, get you a good coat of that for both of them. And then just kind of rub it in. No right or wrong way to do this. Just make sure it's all coated on there. And then what we're gonna go ahead and do is leave these uncovered for the final step. And it's just gonna form that bark up. The sauce is gonna tighten up once we leave it on there. And they're just gonna come out real nice. All right. I think that's looking good, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the cover on there. We'll come back here in about 45 minutes, check on them, and then it'll almost be time to pull them off and cut them up and get to eating. The ribs have been sitting back on the Weber kettle, uncovered out of the foil for only about 25 minutes. They ended up firming up a lot quicker than what I had thought. Part of the reason being is that when I take the lid off and put it back on to do things, I'm noticing that the Weber's temperature rises pretty rapidly, and I think it just got them done quicker. So let's go ahead and take a look, and that's what we got. So basically you can see the sauce has set, the bark has formed, and they just look great. Got the ribs off. They rested in a pan for about 10-15 minutes, and man, just check out the color on these right here. I hope that comes through the camera, because man, they look beautiful. Go ahead and slice into these and see how we did. And when I slice into ribs, I go ahead and just take them, flip them over. That way you can see where the bones are and you know where to cut. Here, I'm gonna get this guy out of the way. And you just cut right in between those bones. I'm just gonna pull one of these guys out real quick, just so we can get a taste test going. But man, look at that. Look at how we did. I hope you guys can see that, because man, it's looking beautiful from my angle. I mean, just the bark and the sauce and everything, it just looks great. Well, I can't wait any longer. I gotta try it out. See how we did. Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll work. Got a nice bite to it. Coming right off the bone. Oops. I'll clean that up. But man, that is one good rib right there. I'm getting sweet, I'm getting a little spicy, both from the rub that I put on there and from the barbecue sauce from Trader Joe's. Man, that's a great rib. One thing I forgot to mention during the whole process was the gloves I'm using. So I got these cotton gloves underneath these gloves that I have from Walmart, actually. From the paint section. They're called Venom or something like that, but they're machine gloves or industrial gloves. I can't remember what they're called, But these cotton liners right here, you can get them on Amazon. I'll go ahead and throw a link in the description for those as well. Basically, when you have these on and you combo them with gloves on the outside, it allows you to grab hot meats and work around a hot grill, and you don't burn your hands up. If you just rely on gloves only, you'll end up burning your hands pretty good. So be sure you have this combo if you're gonna be doing what I did today. And this is actually the first time I've ever smoked anything off a Weber kettle. Usually I'm using the stick burner that I got right here, Old Country Barbecue Pits, Pecos offset smoker, or the Weber Smoky Mountain, which you got behind the kettle there. So it was really fun for me to do this. First time for everything. And this is actually my first YouTube video. So I wanna mention the guys that got me into barbecue or taught me a lot on barbecue via YouTube. First off, T-Roy Cooks. Man, I started out watching your videos. Your page is awesome. Thanks for all the pointers. Malcolm Reed at How to Barbecue Right. Love that page. You got Swine Live Barbecue. Great stuff on that channel as well. And you can't forget Aaron Franklin. I'm here in Texas. I live in Forney, Texas. And you can't forget Aaron Franklin. Him down in Austin, man, he's got the best barbecue in the world. I mean, that's point blank. So thanks to those guys. Thanks for everything, getting me to this point and growing my passion for barbecue. And for all you out there that are following along, remember, if your barbecue was just good, you could have had better. We'll see you next time.